football content. I love it, you love it, we all bloody love it. So it's great that Ball Street and OneFootball have teamed up. It's the only app you will need this season. Using personalised news feeds, push notifications and a user-friendly interface, OneFootball makes it easy to keep up to date with the latest transfer news, scores and stats in one central place. So it's great for me because I can find out all the latest stories about the new Tottenham stadium. Or perhaps why Janssen hasn't been given a squad number. I mean, he cost £16 million. How can he not be good enough to have a squad number? Even Sissoko has a squad number. You can download the OneFootball app by clicking the link in the description below. Let me know how you get on. Maybe you can brighten up my day. Welcome to the weekend's preview. I'm joined by Sammy from the Fulhamish podcast. How you doing, mate?
I'm all good, mate.
James is not here, so I mean, he's quite popular.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he is.
And I'm not, so I was very available.
Only one of those things are true. We've got a massive weekend of football.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big one is Arsenal versus Chelsea. Big talking points is, Czech's going to be starting in goal. Is he going to play out from the back as they did against Man City that failed so miserably?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Czech, he probably did. Czech passing the ball practically into his own
net.
But
that would have been on blooper reels for years.
Oh, it's incredible.
Posted by Vinnie Jones, hopefully.
If you saw someone on Sunday League doing that, you'd be thinking, who is this guy? He's garbage. Get him off the pitch.
They might have the excuse of a bobble or something, but you don't have that excuse at the Emirates.
I mean, if he panicked, that's alarming because he's a goalkeeper and a professional, a veteran player. And just an inability to kind of square the ball. He was under pressure, to be fair. But, Emery has, picked him and he's going to start. So he has some faith in him. I don't know if it would have been a case of him, worrying about his confidence or if it's that kind of thing. But they've signed this keeper from Leverkusen. He played over 200 games for him. He's experienced. Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised they're not using Leno. I think that the way you've seen him play, clearly has an ability to pass out from the back. I found the whole Twitter beef with Leverkusen's English Twitter this week very, very funny.
So this was they said we know a good keeper.
Yeah.
Along those lines, and Petr Cech bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Which you feel like Petr should know better, but it must be quite hard to actually see it from official club accounts. It must have just made him kind of riled up, which kind of understandable, but it was funny nonetheless.
And what do you think of Arsenal's kind of changing system? Obviously, Wenger has been there for a long time, and a change in tactics shouldn't be kind of a strange thing to these players. They've played under many managers, and they should be adaptable. It is a massive shift, though, and Emery wants to play in a modern way.
Yeah.
And a progressive way, but do you think he should be sort of edging this tactic into their game, or is it right to just go straight into it, do you think?
It's hard, isn't it, when you're taking over from Arsene Wenger, who'd just been there for a generation, really, to try and make too much change at once might be difficult. And I don't want to judge Arsenal too much on a game against Man City, where actually I thought for long periods Arsenal actually looked okay, and I thought had Lacazette taken his chance. Also, Aubameyang had quite a good chance. They're both kind of from outside the box, but you'd expect strikers of their quality to finish off a couple of the chances that they had. And then everyone would be talking about what a great result it was against Man City. Some of the playing out the back was a little bit alarming, and against maybe a side of the pressing style of Man City, they maybe should have known better. But Arsenal also a very, very good passing side. So I think Emery might have just been a little bit shocked at some of the mistakes they made, because he must have seen them in pre-season thinking, okay, yeah, we're a good passing team. We can take on the best at trying to play the ball out the back, and it just didn't work. And I think you have to be so precise with your passing, and Man City the passes are just inch perfect, and Arsenal's were good passes, but just making it difficult for a Guendouzi or something like that trying to receive the ball, and then Man City were on top of you straight away, and kind of. It was a bit of a shambles.
It seems a little bit harsh to be too critical of Emery and Arsenal, because they didn't play horrendously, but they certainly didn't play like a team that was kind of sort of stitched on to get in the top four.
I think we were all just expecting a bit more, weren't we? There was a new regime. I think we were expecting a big bang, and it was just a bit like, had you maybe watched the two games and you didn't know anything that Wenger had gone, you might just think it was another Arsenal under Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, but Pep Guardiola underperformed in his first year. Pochettino finished sixth. I think Pep finished fourth or third, and so it is going to take time. I wouldn't get too anxious yet if I was an Arsenal fan.
No, not
I think some of the signings they brought in, Socrates and him especially, actually, he looks like he's got to get up to a pace somewhat. He looks a little bit slow, a little bit leggy, and didn't look the greatest on the ball. And with Mustafi and Socrates in that centre back, I do worry about that Fulham one. I'm not that worried, I've got to be honest. But,
no, you're literally not worried at all.
No, I'm not worried at all. I hope it all goes to shit. But what the Chelsea, obviously, they're playing them another test. They've got a really nightmarish first two games.
Yeah,
only perhaps Liverpool away would have been worse than these two. They had a great result against Huddersfield.
Yeah.
They're going to go into this game thinking, Arsenal are there for the taking. It's the right time to play them. They're not quite ready, not up to speed. What do you think, or what do you know about Sarri, and how far do you think Chelsea are going to go this season?
It's weird because it's two clubs though in massive transition, so it's just kind of which one's a little bit further along the road for me, because Sarri's trying to turn Chelsea long term, you would imagine, into a side that plays a similar way to his Napoli team did. And I saw little bits of Napoli last season, particularly when they played in the Champions League against City and stuff. And the way they pass out the back was probably at times the best in Europe.
Yeah.
Like it was stunning. And they pushed Juventus all the way, who have won 7 Serie A's in a row. It is no mean, it's no disgrace to only get beaten by a couple of points as it was.
Absolutely.
In the end, I'm jealous of Chelsea that they get to watch a Sarri team. I think when he gets given a couple of seasons, and I hope he gets a couple of seasons, and I think as long as he kind of keeps them in and around the top 4, they won't make any drastic changes like that. He could develop this Chelsea team into the most attractive Chelsea team we've ever seen.
And it's something they've been starved of, attractive football.
It's something Abramovich has wanted ever since he went in charge. I think at first he was all about the trophies and that's all he wanted. Then I think afterwards he realised he needed something more than just trophies. They've won everything. So now he wants to create a dynasty, and I think he must be looking at Man City with such envy, because I think that's effectively what he wanted. He wanted to win trophies and do it beautifully at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, the story goes that when Chelsea and Barcelona had that series of playing each other seemingly every season, and he apparently said that watched the way Barcelona played football, and Chelsea didn't do too badly. I think they even knocked them out one of the seasons. Yeah. And he looked at him and said, I need a team like this. It's taken him, another 10 years to get to a point where that was even remotely possible. But Sarri does look exciting. I think his journey up through into the Chelsea management job is fascinating, because he was a footballer but got injured, went into banking, went into non-league football in Italy effectively, worked his way up to Empoli, which was a big job for an unknown manager, and then obviously got the Napoli job, nearly won the league, usurping the old lady. And it's.
I love when managers have a small little career change before they go into management, and that's a clear example there. And I think it maybe grounds them a little bit when they kind of have that small career change into either banking or whether they're a physio or something like that before they actually become manager of a football club.
Yeah, absolutely. What how do you feel this game will pan out? Do you see Arsenal getting anything from it, or is it a team Chelsea win?
I don't know. I think this is actually really, really hard to call. I think it was quite obvious that Man City were going to go to Arsenal and get a win. I don't think that was really a slight on Arsenal. Just Man City looked so good in the Community Shield, completely ready to go, and Arsenal were in transition. I think it was quite clear that, barring maybe a wonder strike or something like that, it was always going to go Man City's way. This is hard to call. I would just say Chelsea. I think they alleviated some of the fears after that Man City game in the win against Huddersfield. And I know that Huddersfield isn't going to be the toughest test they face this season, but they just look dominant throughout.
Any away game in the Premier League is difficult.
You go up to a northern away ground on the opening day of the season, packed house, and win 3-0 pretty convincingly. That's always going to give you confidence, no matter whether that's Huddersfield or whether that's Old Trafford. So I would see Chelsea edging this one, but I think it could be a really good game. I think both teams are going to score. I definitely think that, but I think Chelsea might just come out on top.
I think so too. I think if I had to predict, I think the 2-1 Chelsea win seems like a decent bet.
Yeah, exactly.
On to Spurs then, and Fulham. Obviously, you're a Fulham fan. Fulham's podcast, go and have a listen if you want to find out more about Fulham. So I went into. I'm confident. Obviously, playing at Wembley, kind of a home from home. We were very good there last season. But there is a lot going on off the pitch at Spurs at the moment. The stuff I'm hearing about the stadium is horrendous. Now, I don't know if it's true. And for those that don't know, I mean, you're going to know, but Spurs, actually go and watch our video earlier on this week. Me and Adam Boltwood went through it all. If you don't know and you want to know more about the Spurs situation, then go and listen, go and watch that. But I've heard some horrendous things, like the foundation of the stadium is not right. First it was the circuitry, then it's the foundation. So this sort of stuff is going to have some impact on Pochettino, and I don't know if that's true, by the way, just in case. That could well be bollocks.
Slander.
Yeah. But that's as a fan, you start hearing other people talking, getting all messages on WhatsApp. But what as a Fulham fan, what do you anticipate coming into Spurs? And do you think that off-the-field distractions are going to affect the way Pochettino's men play football?
You'd imagine not. You'd imagine at the training ground they might be discussing it a little bit, like, you heard what's happening with the stadium. Daniel's got a few troubles. But you'd think they'd probably just be focusing on the game. I think it's a good time, though, for Fulham to be facing Spurs. Generally, there is some of the off-field distraction, but also some of your players have only just come back from the World Cup, and against Newcastle, I thought you looked... it was fairly ruthless against Newcastle. You got the job done, but I thought that Newcastle cut you open time and time again, and I thought actually they had plenty of chances, to nick a point or even more. They'd really taken some of those opportunities that they made. So I think as a Fulham fan, under no illusions that it's not going to be a easy game, and I don't expect to get anything out of a trip to Spurs. But if there was a time I could choose to face you, other than maybe another injury crisis or something like that, now, second game of the season, back at Wembley, will the atmosphere be that good at Wembley as well, with a bit of discontent creeping in amongst Spurs fans and not a huge amount of ticket sales from what you were telling me and from what I've heard?
It seems it's going to be about 25,000.
Which is crazy for a Spurs game.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, when we first moved into Wembley, we were getting 60,000, 70,000 at Wembley, but the mood isn't great at the moment. Yeah,
so probably a good time for Fulham to be going there. We're going to sell out our away end. I imagine there'll probably be a few Fulham fans dotted around the ground as well. So, and also I just think that it was a bit of a... It wasn't a letdown against Palace. It was just a bit disappointing that we just didn't show more of what we're capable of against them. So I think a few of the players want to right a few wrongs. We have got some quality in the squads. So I can see us scaring you if ultimately it maybe just still ends up being 0 points.
Fulham on paper had an incredible transfer window.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the transfer deadline day, it was like another one's coming in, another one.
Yeah.
Signs of good players. Sarri in midfield. Mitrovic, he brought the Atletico Madrid striker come through at the end.
Yeah,
Vieto, who had a great reputation, but just
he had one great season, I think 2014-15, where he scored 20 in a season, and he's lightning quick as well, or certainly he was.
Yeah, but it's not bad to take a punt, isn't it?
No.
It was a loan deal.
Loan deal. I think he's probably going to be our number 2, kind of behind Mitrovic, but he can also fit in on the wings as well, so you kind of fit in anywhere across that front three. Yeah, the transfer window was brilliant for Fulham, and it was so exciting to see these players come in, to be the first promoted team to spend 100 million. Just shows that our owners, Tony and Sheik, aren't here to make up the numbers, and I think long term,
very much to spend money. I mean,
but there's a bit of a myth with the 100 million. Is I still believe we've needed to spend that to compete. Our squad is still only just about as valuable as a Palace, a Burnley, a Watford. So we've had to spend that money to get up to the level, and I think that's what more and more Championship clubs are going to have to do. Wolves spent a similar amount, and it'd be interesting to see if Cardiff can do it by not spending a lot of money. I personally think that they just haven't got the resources to compete.
Manchester United and Brighton at the weekend, obviously the story that just will not go away. Jose Mourinho, Paul Pogba not getting on at all. The club were forced to make a statement saying there's no issue between the players, but what else are the player and the manager? What else are you going to say? Mourinho is a crazy bastard, and Pogba has an ego, obviously.
Yeah.
And when you have these two egos clashing, often it can be brilliant, and they can work together and they can pull the whole club forward on their own. But sometimes it doesn't quite work out like that.
No, it's kind of who's Mourinho fallen out with this week. For ages it was Luke Shaw. Lukaku seemed to get in his firing line. Now it's Paul Pogba. It is a bit of a weird one for Paul Pogba because he had such a great World Cup and he was one of the standout players, certainly in the final. I think he was one of the first Premier League player in years to score in a World Cup final. So he's clearly come back with an enhanced reputation, and I think he just wants to be the man now at Man United. And Mourinho, in his controlling self, just don't think is letting Paul Pogba do that. I just don't get Mourinho at the moment. He just seems to be moaning. He seems to be moaning for a new reason, week in, week out. If you don't want to be there, mate, then just go, because there's plenty of other people that would like to manage the best club and one of the biggest clubs in the world, including, unfortunately,
I think they will. I think he wants to be there. I just feel like he has this weird Machiavellian way to get what he wants. But it's almost like it's like something in the past that's worked in the past. He can get in the manager's head. He's already gone after Klopp, saying he's got to be winning the league. You know, you've got to be winning the league. Man United have to be winning the league this year, or you've got to go, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't see a world where he...
Or properly challenging.
Yeah.
Like, really, and getting to the latter stages of the Champions League and not being knocked out by Sevilla. No disgrace to Sevilla, but they're not the kind of team that should be knocking Man United out of the Champions League.
Well, to be fair to Man United, they got 3 points, didn't they? Leicester last Friday. And they've got a favourable draw game this week in Brighton at home. Even, you know, the worst Man United you'd think would be able to get 3 points against Brighton at Old Trafford, you know.
Yeah.
So it's strange. It's like, in spite of everything that's going on, they'll probably go on to win this game anyhow.
Well, that's kind of what they did last season. They won lots of their easier games, but then, you know, when it came to some of the top six, they just couldn't bridge that gap between themselves and Man City. In fact, apart from winning that game at the Etihad, which was an amazing game, an amazing performance, and showed exactly what Man United are capable of, they just never really seemed to hit top form, but they did seem to pick up a lot of the results against lesser teams in the Premier League that kind of kept them in
flat track bullies.
Yeah, in second place. They probably will win against Brighton this weekend, who have got a few players. I'm a big fan of Pascal Gross. He's such a good chance creator, perfect for your FPL team. But they probably will just go and win this game 2-0, but I don't think that papers over the cracks. Yeah. And I think they're going to only be truly judged when they face other top six teams, and whether they can go to tough places like the new White Hart Lane, like Stamford Bridge, like the Etihad again, and get big results in the games that matter.
Finally, Crystal Palace versus Liverpool, I think probably will be the game of the weekend. I love because I love the way Palace play. Wilfried Zaha is my favourite player outside of Tottenham. I absolutely adore him. I think he's incredible. I've said it many times. I think he's going to go on to do, when he gets that big move, and no disrespect to Palace, but the facts are facts. He needs to go to a bigger club in order to achieve the things he wants to achieve. I think he will. Again, he did play for Man United, but that was a bit too soon.
Yeah, it was.
I wonder how Liverpool's now excellent defence is going to cope with him. You know, the myth of Liverpool being disorganised has kind of dissipated somewhat. Certainly since Van Dijk has come into the side, how one player can turn around a complete defence is amazing, really. What do you think of Liverpool this season, and how far will they go? Because it seems to most people that they're going to be the legitimate title challengers against Man City. I mean,
this weekend was the perfect start for Liverpool. They couldn't have dreamt it to go any better. And I think one thing we've always said about Liverpool is that, it's great that you beat Manchester City 4-3. It's fantastic that you got these big wins in these big games, almost like the reverse of Man United. But then West Ham would come to town in the first 3 weeks of the season, and you'd pick up a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
And those draw, they drew 0-0 with Stoke towards the end of last season. Results like that are what's stopping Liverpool from winning the league. And so I think they went into this game against West Ham, and it was the true litmus test. Can you get a big result against a good team that's going to come here, try and nick a couple of goals on the counter, and is going to be well organised? And they ripped them apart.
Yeah,
it was just a blistering first half show, and West Ham's defensive frailties were kind of exposed a little bit. That second goal for me was just a little bit criminal, the way that James Milner's allowed to be free at the back post. And I felt for them on the third because it just was clearly offside, but they I don't think that would have changed the game at all, that third goal. So perfect start for Liverpool. We all knew about their attacking talents, but with it being Van Dijk's first full season, Alisson at the back, I love the way they play and the way they kind of just batter teams down. But Palace will be a difficult one for them this weekend because they're so well drilled under Roy Hodgson. He's a manager that I absolutely love. And
because
of what he did for Fulham. And last weekend when they came to Craven Cottage, we just saw how well organised they were. They soaked up our pressure. And okay, Liverpool's pressure is going to be a bit different to Fulham's pressure, but for 35 minutes we were on top, but we didn't create any clear-cut chances. They denied us to long shots, kind of speculative efforts that had they gone in, they would have been incredible goals. And then 40 minutes, Jeffrey Schlupp, small little lapse in concentration for the Fulham defence, bang, 1-0. We tried to get back into the game. We denied a clear penalty, which was a bit unfortunate, but then again, counter-attack, bang, 2-0. So it's going to be a real tough test for Liverpool. Can they break down Hodgson's rear guard? And then Crystal Palace will look to get them on the break. I think, though, that Liverpool will have enough to get past Crystal Palace's kind of 2 lines of 4 and then go on and claim a fairly routine win, because it will be then difficult for Crystal Palace if they have to kind of open up in order to try and attack Liverpool, and then Liverpool will just pick holes like they did against West Ham. So that's why I'm not 100% sure it's going to be that great a game. I think Liverpool will just win it quite convincingly. I don't see it being end-to-end lots of goals, but hey, I could be wrong, and this will be quoted for time to come.
And do you see Liverpool are the only feasible challengers can they do it?
I think there's plenty of challenges. I still believe anyone in the top 6 on their day could go on a big run and cause Man City problems. I still think it's a little bit early to be ruling out Spurs. I know there's a few problems. I know you didn't make any signings, but at the end of the day, there's still a very, very good team there that has been there or thereabouts for the last few seasons. However, I'm not sure I quite see you pipping Man City, and I think the team that does finish above Man City wins the league.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Liverpool have got the best chance out of all of them. Klopp's just got to make sure that they go on a run, keep getting results, and they will be there, because I think in the big games, if they're within touching distance of Man City, they just seem to have that aura about them. No one's going to want to go to Anfield in a title run. Just once again, you could see Mourinho spoiling Liverpool's party like he did for them back in 2012. You could just, it's written in the stars for something like that to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, exactly. I think the one thing that they have, in terms of the mental edge, is that they did beat Man City last year convincingly as well, over 2 legs. So, they have got that mental edge. They do seem to be pulling in the right direction. Klopp, he has these detractors, not less because of his tactics and his acumen as a manager, but just because he's a bit irritating. But we'll see. I mean, it's important that we do have a challenger to Man City this year, because last season it was a little bit of a farce and a little bit boring. Okay, that's it. How do people find you, Sammy?
Well, if you want to listen to Fulhamish, we've got the podcast, which you can just kind of find on your podcast app. We've also got a brand new YouTube channel as well. So we're currently just building up a few subscribers. We've only really been properly going a few weeks. So if you're on YouTube and you like Fulham, then give us a subscribe. Just type in Fulhamish, Fulham ISH.
Lovely job. Paul Street is back with you every single day of the week, and soon there's going to be weekend content as well. So full steam ahead where we are, and and we'll see you tomorrow.